when we make a graphic score, we want to have the sounds that we heard represented on paper so that someone else could read that and play that, and we could recreate the sounds of our yard. It won't sound exactly the same, but it will create the same feeling perhaps. So what we want to start thinking about now is how we're going to create visual symbols or pictures that could represent the ideas we've come up with here. So how might we represent duration? If we have a really long sound, how could we represent that?
Just long, straight line.
A wavy line if the sound kind of is a bit wibbly wobbly. Yep. What about sounds like the birds that are really on and off, that are sort of scattered?
Something like Morse code.
Morse code, that's a great way. So you would have your lines or your pictures would be not joined together. What about pitch? How would you represent pitch if a noise is high?
You might do a little...
So it would go up. Did you mean going up on the page? So if it was a high note, it would go up on the page, and if it was a low note, what would it do?
It would go low.
Go down on the page. That'd be a good way of representing pitch, just like we think of things as high or low, don't we? What about tone colour? That's interesting.
Have a different colour. Harsh would be sort of like a zigzaggy line.
Oh, so you're thinking of using line to represent tone colour. So zigzaggy would be a harsh sound.
And then
wavy line for a smooth sound. What about you, Ethan? You suggested a different colour. What would you think is a harsh colour that would use?
brown, black, grey.
Nice. And what about the smoother sounds that we heard? Pink.
Highlight pink.
You'd use highlighter pink. Good. And finally, dynamics. If a sound is really quiet, if it's soft, how would you think of representing that? So
Like really small.
Yeah. Like this, the volume is small, so you've used line again there to represent volume. Oh, so okay, you've got a thin pen there, so you would use a thin pen. Great, small volume. What about you, Caroline? What about a loud sound or a medium sound?
A loud sound, I'd draw a very thick line.
Yeah. So there's lots of volume. So what I want you to do now, before we go on to representing the elements of music, is just think about the pictures you might use to represent each of these sounds. Can you do that for me now? All right.
Do we draw them out?
You can draw them, just ideas. It doesn't have to be your entire graphic score at this stage, but just think about what kind of pictures you might use to represent the coffee grinder in the cars. And it doesn't have to look like a coffee grinder, it might be a completely abstract symbol that you come up with. So you've got a coffee bean, that's lovely.